So if you are seeing this, you are in for a treat and you are tuned into my first YouTube video. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm not gonna lie. It's taken me so much to get to this point of even feeling free to kind of have my separate Instagram account and just really be who I am. So I'm really proud of myself for taking this step because I just feel like a whole new person from, when all of this kind of started for me. But I wanted to come on here and kind of talk about, I guess I'll talk about 2020 for me and kind of how all of this self-journey, self-healing thing started for me. And then I'm also going to talk about a few daily self-development routines that I do to continue learning and growing, evolving, all those things. So August of 2020, I don't know about y'all, but it was a time. And I feel like everybody had their moment in 2020. And mine, whether that was starting a business or going to therapy or just being in one of the lowest points of your life, everybody had their moment of 2020. And my moment of 2020 was in August. I was a senior and I had just moved back on campus and I was doing my last year of school. Living by myself in an apartment. Loved living by myself. That was the most amazing thing ever. It's just a sense of freedom that you have living by yourself, and you just learn so much about yourself when you're living by yourself. And so a few things that I started doing in August of 2020 that really were pivotal for me. One thing that I started doing that really changed the game was journaling. Journaling changed the game, y'all. The fact that I could write something out and vent without feeling judged for what I was saying, without anybody even knowing my business, without me going back feeling oh, I shouldn't have told that person all of this. I didn't want them to know all my business. I could literally write out exactly how I feel about everything and nobody know. That was amazing. If you never journaled, try it. I know it's not for everybody, but even if you can talk to yourself. I still talk to myself now, whatever you could do to vent, I'm telling you, journaling is amazing. So journaling was a big thing for me. I also got more involved with online church services. Obviously it was COVID, so nothing was open, but I just felt very, I felt a pull on me to kind of get more involved with the Bible, talk to God more, and just all of that. So one of those things that I did was getting on the online church services and also reading the Bible. Another thing that I did that was very helpful was listening to podcasts, specifically the Black Girls Heal podcast. I think her name is Sheena Tubbs. My girl would read me for filth every single episode. She talked about relationships with your mom, relationship with your dad, relationship with your friends, relationship with, men, women, whoever you prefer, relationship with yourself. And it was so great for me because a lot of the times I feel like we are aware that something is wrong or I don't, something about the way I do things I don't think is necessarily the right way. Or why am I like this in friendships? Why am I like this in relationships? And a lot of the times we don't have a concrete word for why we are the way we are or what that actually is. And listening to her podcast, she gave concrete vocabulary words oh, you're a narcissist. That changed the game for me. I'm not a narcissist, but that was just an example. That changed the game for me because it was so many things about myself that I didn't understand. I didn't have an explanation for. I didn't have a word for, a meaning for. And listening to her podcast, she gave me the vocabulary words that I've been needing my whole life, y'all. So that was absolutely amazing. I would listen to that podcast day and night. Every day, because I was at home and I was working and I was in classes, but if I wasn't working or doing homework, I was cooking. This is when I kind of really got into things that I love to do. Cooking, listening to music. I know that when I come home, I love a home that smells good. I love a home that feels comfy. I love candles. I love lights. I love anything that is sensual, which is a true Taurus trait. I love things that feel good against my skin. I like pillows, like anything that's comfy. And I feel like I really got into that living by myself. And I just, because I was by myself and I didn't have to answer to anybody, I did everything I liked to do. And so that was another way that I really was able to go to the next level of kind of like knowing myself and knowing what I like and knowing what I don't like. And just kind of like a little backtrack, like I've always been one of those people that wants more for myself, whether that be physically, mentally, relationship wise, platonic and romantic. Like I've always just had a very high standard for who I am, what I do, what I stand for, and also the people around me. And so I think a part of me going through this patch in 2020 was like, okay, I'm tired of the same old stuff. Like, how do I get to the next level? Because this isn't working for me. Like, I was fed up. I was dealing with the same things relationship wise. Honestly, probably talking to the same dude, but with a different name, honestly, dealing with the same things that I have been dealing with for years. And I feel like it sounds crazy for me to be saying this as a 24-year-old, but like, because I feel like I know people that are way older than me that say things like this, but I don't know, like everybody has a different time that it takes for them to get fed up. And I was fed up as a 21-year-old. So I was fed up. I'm tired. I don't feel like doing this no more. So a lot of the steps I took, journaling, church services, reading the Bible, listening to the podcast, those were all steps that I took in steps that I took because I was fed up. And I just felt like, okay, I need more. I need better. Like, this is not what I want for my life. I want this. And another important thing about the journaling, I literally wrote down everything I wanted in my life. That's a key, but that could be a whole nother video. So we'll get back to that. But manifesting and praying about everything that I want and then putting actual concrete steps and effort into those things and watching them become fruit. Amazing. 10 out of 10. So, 2020 goes along, and I still kept all of those key things, those pivotal things. So 2020 goes along. I still kept all those things that helped me in 2020, and I use them for my regular day-to-day life because they still work and they still help me. So a few other things that I like to do now currently is watching interviews of successful people and inspirational people. I love anything that talks about somebody's story and what they've gone through and just to see where they are now. And it gives me hope and inspiration that we can literally do anything we put our mind to. Like, I don't care what nobody say. And I feel like a lot of us don't have that mindset when it comes to doing things. Like, you can do anything. We are all literally the same genetically. There is nothing different genetically that I have that Beyonce has that I don't have. We're all human. So we're all capable of accomplishing everything we want to accomplish. So I love watching YouTube videos of different people's like interviews that they do and talking to people. I really been stuck on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay. I love his little show. And he's interviewed some good people. So I just love hearing that, and just anything that's positive and that's gonna make me feel like, yup, I'm about to keep doing this, I'm gonna keep doing that, make sure I get this homework done. Because like on the other side of this, on the other side of the work and the dedication is, the fruits of your labor. So another thing that I like to do is still listening to podcasts, but I have two other podcasts now that I listen to heavy. So one podcast I listen to is the Know For Sure podcast with B. Simone and Megan Ashley. Love them. They are definitely women of God and is a very God-centered podcast, but I love the fact that they are still real and raw. Like, they still cuss, they still are themselves. And not that I'm saying I like that they cuss, but they are still humans. They make mistakes. They're not perfect. They're still getting better, you know? And I just feel like that is a very real a real representation of people of God. We're not perfect. We're not going to be perfect. I still cuss, and I'm keeping it clean for the video, so y'all should be proud of me, because this is not my normal. I'm usually popping off at the mouth, but I'm trying to keep it clean. So I love their podcast. Know For Sure podcast. Please look them up. Listen to it weekly. Amazing podcast. Another podcast I listen to that every week is the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Love that podcast as well. They drop a lot of good gems on there. I think his name is Latarius Whitfield. I think that's his name. Love his podcast. 10 out of 10. He also talks about self-development and relationship development, and people's journey. And like, he just has a lot of cool people on there that just do different things, and they all drop gems, y'all. Like, and another God-centered podcast as well. Okay, let's see, what else do I have on here. I'm also currently in therapy. I think I started in March. Hasn't been a full 2 months, but I definitely have enjoyed it. I'm gonna keep going and see, you know, how long I want to do it for. But for right now, I feel like it's doing what I needed to do. I knew I had been wanting to start therapy, but every time I tried, something just kind of got in the way where it didn't work out, whether it was like insurance or whatever. But this is the first time that everything kind of worked itself out. So I'm like, okay, bet, let's get it. So been in therapy for almost 2 months now. That's been good. Another thing that I try to do daily is self-reflection. And I feel like, you know, when I had more time before graduating, that would look like journaling. I would just journal about my day. How did I feel today? This happened at work. How did that make me feel? I feel like now, because I'm so much more busy, I don't necessarily have time to always like sit down and journal, but I try to make it a habit to kind of go over how my day went in my head. I was at work and, you know, so-and-so said something to me. How did that make me feel? Blah, 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 blah. And especially being in a relationship, you know, you have to be self-reflective all the time, because you literally interact with your partner every day, especially living with your partner. So that's two totally different things. But I have to be self-reflective because I have another person that is counting on me to show up as my best self every day, and vice versa. So I needed that foundation of journaling in order to be able to be self-reflective now. And it's a habit. I've made it a habit, basically. So that's always very helpful. I think everybody needs to be self-reflective. That's not really an option. Like, if you're not reflecting on how you're treating people, how you're going about things, like, I don't know what to tell you on that one. You're going to have to figure it out. You know, you have to be self-reflective, because everything does not revolve around us. Another like quick thing I've kind of just like learned, especially with doing the work I do now, listening is much more valuable than talking. I'm a talker naturally, so I'm still going to talk. I'm gonna talk and listen, but I'm gonna talk, you know. But I have learned that listening is so much more valuable. You just can pick up on so many different things by listening and observing people and their reactions and how they, you know, maybe they're uncomfortable in a situation. And I just try to make it a point to always observe before I walk into a room, or as I'm walking into a room. Get a feel for how it is. You don't have to be the first person to say something. You know, look at people, look at their faces. Are they greeting you with a smile, or are they kind of looking at you like, okay, and you know, they smile once you say something to them. Like, just peep the whole scene. Peep the whole scene. That is just, you know, a little gem that I just have picked up on recently. But out of everything I said, I feel like the most important is the last thing that I'm about to say. Since 2020, and just everything that I've learned and everything that I'm constantly learning, I feel like one way that I have been able to stay positive and stay motivated and stay goal oriented is looking at every situation in life and asking myself, what is the lesson I'm supposed to get out of this? What is the lesson I'm supposed to get out of this? That is the key, because when you ask yourself that question, you are no longer the victim of life. Because I think a lot of times we feel like, oh, all of these things happen to me and blah, 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 blah. Switch the narrative, switch the perspective. What lesson am I supposed to get out of this? What am I supposed to learn from this? Whether that be something that good that happened to you, or whether it's something that's bad that happened to you. And I don't necessarily think things that happen to people are bad. I think it's just perspective, how you choose to look at it. But I know some people will argue me that, whatever. But when you become the learner in life instead of the victim, you're always going to win, because you're always looking for the win, even when there is a L, period. So those are really daily things that I try to think about. Like, I don't care what's going on. Like, what am I supposed to get out of this? What is the lesson? How is what just happened to me going to shape who I'm going to be in 5 years? And I know that's probably like hard for a lot of people to think that far ahead, but we have to be thinking that far ahead, because all we have is the present. But like, yesterday is gone. Yesterday's not coming back. So you either need to be thinking about the now or the almost on the way, because tomorrow is gone. I will never get tomorrow back again. So I'm always thinking about, what is next? How will this affect me as a 30-year-old? What does this look like when I'm 55 pushing it? I ain't never thought that far, but like, 10 years from now, when I'm 34, what do I want to have? Where do I want to live? How do I want to be living? So it is just so important to just do all of those things, y'all. And I'm not saying, everybody's journey is different. So the things that I did may not work for you, but these are the things that work for me. Let me know if you try any of these things. I would love to hear, because I love hearing, feedback and things like that. Speaking of feedback, I did want to say, like, just thank you to like all the people that voted on my poll. I know it's not a lot of y'all, but I appreciate it, because like I said, this took me a lot to even get to this point, to feel comfortable to even post videos and like really share all of the thoughts that come into this head, because I think so many things, y'all. Like, I'm always thinking. And so whenever people are like, oh, thanks for this, or this was helpful, like, I'm just so happy to hear that, because it means everything to me, honestly. It makes me so happy, and it makes me want to keep going, and it just makes me happy. So thanks for voting on my poll. Y'all gonna get everything that was on the poll, but I was just trying to see what y'all was more thirsty for. But y'all said self-development routine, so this is what y'all gonna get. But thanks for voting on the polls. Please keep, giving feedback, commenting. Please subscribe as well, period. Please subscribe. I'm gonna try to be consistent, y'all, for real, because I really enjoy doing stuff like this. Love y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you soon.